All right. We back in the
We back.
building.
What's going on,
We
Yodi?
back. Rance, I'm super excited about what's going on. It's good today. It's a beautiful Monday here in North Carolina.
Yeah,
And gosh,
yeah. How was your week?
it was birthday behavior on Saturday. So it was a great week. Very good week.
Okay,
Kickoff for this whole month of May. It's just everything amazing. So blessings.
okay. So
Yes.
I had a blessed week myself. It was a Mother's Day weekend, so I had to make sure everybody was good in my family. You know what
That's
I'm
that that's it. You already know Mom Dukes is okay on mute.
saying?
This is good.
So
Wow.
look,
So it
I think this week we got a really dope show, a really dope
wow.
show.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
So, but
do.
before we get into our topic, we got a very special guest that's going to join us today. This is a really good
Yes.
friend of mine. All right,
Yes.
all right, really good friend of mine, Amethyst Roberson. Been knowing her
Mm-hmm.
for a long time. Actually, I think how long I've been knowing you now? It's
Oh
been over
man.
20 years.
Yeah,
It's
oh
been
yeah,
over.
oh yeah.
It's been
We were in
20
our
plus.
teens.
It's
Oh,
been
that's
20 plus.
good. That's good.
So,
That's real
but
good.
but Amethyst is going to join us today. Amethyst, a little bit about She's been in business for over 20 years. Okay, Yodi. She's
Okay.
a licensed
This is
professional
beautiful.
counselor. Yes, she's a licensed
Nice.
professional counselor. Um,
Okay.
she deals in the issues of what's that? Therapy, coaching, um,
Trauma,
trauma.
anxiety,
Trauma,
Yeah,
anxiety. Oh,
marriage,
how appropriate.
relationships, all of that.
all that good
Oh,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
so it's
appropriate.
tie it's gonna tie into what we got going on today. So
hmm
Yodi, hit the people with what we got going on today. Let them know.
L- Listen, guys, it is May, Mental Health Awareness Month. And guess what? It is okay. The title of our show is It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Mental health is huge. It is huge, as I'm sure Am is going to drop some science with us, some information, some tips. And just, gosh, we're just so glad to have you here, Am. Thanks a lot for being present.
No
Mental
problem.
health is like a big ordeal. A lot of people feel like mental health, it's a difficult subject to talk about, let alone dealing with and like coping with a different anxiety of depression and things like that that we are faced with today, especially coming out of this pandemic. So do share like your input on it's okay to be okay.
Yeah, so we want to jump in now. So yeah, I mean
Oh,
that's a appropriate topic for this month. Like everybody is, you know, really coming out of the whole thing of this pandemic and trying to make sense of what just happened. And so I think this topic is so appropriate right now for us to talk about whether you're a business owner, whether you're a mom or dad or your community leader, no matter what capacity, we have to know that it's okay to not be okay. To really find, to me, that really means find the services, the assistance, the help that you need to make your life easier, to really keep your peace. So I'm looking forward to all the conversation today, but that's so appropriate for right now, their whole topic.
Yeah.
yes,
So
it
Let me
is.
ask you
It is.
a little bit about yourself. What areas do you
Yeah.
serve in your profession? What areas do you serve in mostly that you find yourself serving in this season of your
Oh
life?
man, that's a great question. Right now, I really put an emphasis on entrepreneurs that are, because I found out that 72 to 74% of entrepreneurs are dealing with some type of mental health crisis or issue or concern. So my practice has taken sort of a turn to really focus on entrepreneurs in particular to help them deal with like some of those internal wars that are going on about,
Mm,
am I good enough? Is my business going to
Mm,
survive?
mm.
Am I going to make it through this pandemic? Am I going to make it through the family issues that I'm going through? I found out that a lot of entrepreneurs are dealing with what's called imposter syndrome. And that's this whole thought of I'm a fraud. I'm not good enough. I'm not able to show up in the way that I'm really able to show up. It's like that person who went to school for 10 years and they feel like I still don't have enough to achieve what I know I'm capable of doing. And so
mm.
this thing of fraud keeps showing up with entrepreneurs. And so my business started taking a turn towards that. So that is one of the emphasis that I'm working with individuals on. My practice mainly serves those who are dealing with grief and trauma, But that whole thing of imposter syndrome is showing up like never before. So those are some of the areas that I'm dealing with right now on a daily basis.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I've never heard that that term being used before in that way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know for myself, I've been in business for some years now. I went through a thing where I doubted myself. You know, I questioned myself even. So I mean, what? How is it? Are the do you find business owners, are they opening up to you and just and that's a topic that you
Yes.
find them coming to you with, or you know, an area of concern?
That's exactly what happened. I started getting more and more. Well, I was trying to figure out who are the type of people that are getting the stats on people who are coming to me. And that was the thing that came up. They are entrepreneurs. They are really, they are that group of people that's really leaving their jobs now as well. So they have this idea that they want to become business owners, but they don't have that confidence as well and that security emotionally, really, to deal with what a 20-year-old business owner now knows how to do. And so the more I kept seeing that, those were the phone calls that I was getting. They would talk about the grief, they would talk about the trauma, but when they came from under that, they were business owners. They were people like you and me that really just wanted to know some tips on how to deal with the stress, how to survive through some of these ups and downs that we're seeing. So so I get a lot of those calls of individuals, business owners, entrepreneurs, but also those who are in relationship crisis. So I get a lot of individuals that are asking questions about how to make their relationship survive some of the things that they're going through too. So yeah. Yeah.
Yodi, that's pretty interesting, huh, Yodi? By you being a business owner yourself, I'm sure you it was a few things that flashed in your mind when she said that.
Okay.
I don't think we can hear Yodi.
Oh yeah.
We can't hear you, Yodi.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yes. So to your point, very much, there was a lot that went through my mind during the whole process of the pandemic. A lot of uncertain and no answers, some fear, some anxiety, and I had to try to figure out ways to calm down and stop thinking about the unknown and just kind of live in that moment. So to your point, there's a lot of I didn't get to the place of depression, but there was a lot of anxiety and having this dog that we hear in the background. He was one of my actually really he's Zeus, the big mouth in the background. He was one of my go-tos of keeping me busy, walking 4 and 5 miles a day and just engaging and training him. So I found that was my outlet. So it didn't, and then with me living where I work, it's so close. Me walking past and in downtown seeing it looks real ghostly, like ghost town. It was really like sad. It really was, because no businesses opening. I walk past the salon and looking at him like, I need to be in there doing something, you know? So trying to find ways to stay busy. Even resorted to cutting my own hair a few times during the lockdown. Got the clippers and so it was kind of like, it was really kind of scary. So I can only imagine like others in our industries and just talking with our friends, some people's salons didn't survive.
Some,
some merged. So that's kind of a thing. Is your passion. You launch your business and you go back in, and some landlords weren't cooperative and they still wanted the money. You didn't have the money coming in freely. And, you know, it really was a situation where it created a lot of, I'm sure, uneasiness, a lot of disturbances. Mentally.
The uneasiness, uncertainty is definitely a part of that struggle that a lot of entrepreneurs have had through this whole process, again, of really normalizing what was, all of these changes. And so I think one of the key things that I really tell people is to really normalize the things that you're going through. Make it okay for you to go through what you're going through. Slow down, take the time to process. I always encourage individuals to take time to externalize what's going on internally. Because if you allow something to sit, if you allow some milk to sit and sit and sit, what's going to happen? It's going to spoil.
It's
So
gonna
if you think
pour.
about those, when you think about those thoughts that you have that you may not want to have, but because you may be losing your business, you may be going through and struggling and stressed out. If those things are sitting, if you can imagine that as that milk sitting in your body, it's toxic. You're actually
Yes,
receiving
yes.
those toxic things, and so you got to begin to pour out. It's going to be stagnant if you don't pour out. So that's what like journaling is all about, taking the internal, what's going on inside of you, and externalizing it, making it real, viable, live, something that's living and breathing. Meaning you are hurting. I am hurting. I am having a
Yes.
difficult time. It's
Yes.
important to say those. I know we have like affirmations and positive thinking. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that is you have to really be honest about where you are first before you can
Mm.
have that positive affirmation. So how do you get that stale milk to that milk flowing, that land of milk and honey flowing again? Begin to process what you are really truly feeling. So whenever I work with someone, whether it's coaching or therapy, I always ask them this question: is it true what you're thinking about yourself? And we seriously break that down, because sometimes it's just a lie. Sometimes that's not really who you are. Maybe it's a temporary situation, but it's not who you are. And a lot of times
Right.
we attribute things that we go through momentarily, and we make that our lifestyle when it was just a moment in time that you were having. So what I'm
Okay.
saying is just allow yourself time to process, journal, get those things out, those feelings, be honest about where you are. Find somebody that you can confide in and talk to, maybe somebody that's going through the same thing that you have, and
Mm-hmm.
normalize this stuff. I mean, even in our community, African Americans, we're always on the run. I know I'm always on the run, but I have
Mm-hmm.
to make myself stop. I just took a trip to Tennessee. I made myself stop to
Okay.
really think about and process where I am as a business owner. What are the thoughts that I'm having that I need to just get out of the way so I can really be productive? And so, yeah, so I'm saying a whole lot, but yeah, just
This is
No,
good.
no, it was good
yeah,
though.
This
So,
is
yeah.
and
good.
look, check it out. So we our platform, we have a tendency to deal with a lot of business owners, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
spoke about, when you spoke, you specifically talked about business owners who may come to you who have probably been in business for a while and kind
Yeah.
of lost somewhat direction. How
Mm-hmm.
how do how does someone who has been in business for a while, who may have a lack of direction in this particular season of their life, and let's just say at one point they were on it, they had it, they were going forward, but now
Right.
they have somewhat a lack of of direction, or they're distracted by what they see currently going on, like you said, by some of the newcomers, or and they don't necessarily know how to adapt. um how does one make those adjustments?
You know, the first thing, as you were talking, the first thing that came to mind was like, never be ashamed of where you are. Like,
Never be
shame has
ashamed.
a way of making you hide and going into places that you wouldn't normally go. It has you doing things that you wouldn't normally do. So how do you recalibrate? How do you get back in the mode of what you were doing? Don't be ashamed of your story. Don't be ashamed of where you may end up in life. Sometimes things don't go wrong, and that's okay. What you have to
Mm-hmm.
do is really set boundaries for yourself and say, okay, this didn't work out. Set those goals for yourself. That 1% goal each day of, okay, this is the step that I can take to really move forward. The first thing that I tell people when I'm doing goal setting is you got to do one, you got to prioritize things.
Mm-hmm.
What are you prioritizing? We say that a lot, but what is it? What is it exactly that we need to prioritize? That business owner that may have been really going full steam and they took a turn. Prioritize your options. Write out your options. What's option 1, 2, and 3 that's sitting right in front of you right now? What can
Right.
you do? On that trip to Tennessee, I walked the 3 mile hike and I was like, good Lord, I'm
Come
about
on
to
now.
pass out. But you know what? On the way up, I got stopped by one of the park rangers, and he said to me, he said, the problem with you, this is somebody I don't even know. He
Okay.
said, the problem with you is that you're focused on the destination. He
Ooh.
said, if you start focusing on the everyday thing of this trail, before you know it, you're going to be at your destination. And that's when that
Hmm.
trail took a turn for me, because I was about to pass out. And then
Okay.
I walked another
Okay.
mile. Guess what? A little old white lady stopped. She said, I saw you on this trail. She said, I have an extra bottle of water for you.
Come
So
on now.
what I'm saying for this is, if you take one step, that 1% step, you're gonna have opportunities and people come across your path that you wouldn't normally accept things and receive things from, and they're going to tell you the same thing they told me. Take that step by step. Stop focusing on the destination. Look at the process. And he said there were so many things on the way up this trail that if you miss them, you're going to miss the whole point of going to your destination. I was done then.
Wow.
I was good. I made it
So
to my destination. Yeah.
let me ask you this then, Am. Once you got to your destination, what was the level of fulfillment? What did you feel once you got
Man, it was beautiful. Woo! It was beautiful. Waterfall, water. It was. I mean, it was crowded. We stayed there for about an hour. It was awesome. I talked the whole way back down. Look, there comes the affirmation. My affirmation up the hill was like, man, this is hard. This is tough. This is rough. Again, externalizing these thoughts, I had to get them out. And so as I'm coming down, my whole affirmation, my whole way of speaking about. So that's another thing. You have to be willing to speak the affirmations that's going to activate whatever you want to manifest in your life. And so that's when it took a turn. So, but it was awesome. I captured it, everything. So it was good.
Okay.
Good.
This is good. This is really good. So in some of my preparation, I did a couple little research, and my neighbor is a doctor at the at ED, and we were talking, and he said, if you don't do anything, if you foresee one of your love mates, it's just you don't know what's going to happen, take them to the ER. Take them to the ER. There are trained professionals there to
That's good.
like take over, especially if you've never been encountered with someone with this like mental illness, and it's like you don't know what to do. He said take them directly to the ER. They're trained professionals there, and also we can gain. I personally made me even more dig. Like, let me do more research, because we deal with people every day, and we never know who's sitting in our chairs.
Yeah.
And I feel like Rance, same setting. We hear people talk all the time. So a lot of these points you're sharing, and some of our previous podcasts, I think they've been very instrumental, and even more so taking these nuggets away from what you're sharing with us, and we appreciate that to help us to like help our guests, because they become family members to us. And when we hear little key points, it's like, hey, don't look at the final. Remember that. Don't look at the final destination.
Yeah.
Live in the moment.
Hey, Am, I have a question to piggyback off something that Yodi said.
Okay.
What are some ways that we could kind of help assist those that we might see that are struggling? And let's just say, for instance, they don't want to go to the ER. What are some of the things that we can do, and to help them realize if that's a thing, that they may need some help, if it's something that we recognize.
I've been really like different talks that I've been doing lately. I've really been trying to help us all understand, like, there's a difference between mental wellness and mental illness. Mental wellness is all of us. We all have to take care of our bodies. We have to take care of our minds. We have to make sure that, that we're taking the right vitamins, because sometimes it could just be a vitamin. We could think it's mental illness, but it's really somebody wasn't taking enough vitamin D. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but I know for sure that there are certain things that you can do that can affect your body, your serotonin level, your physiological makeup. So it may be somebody sitting in a chair one day, they're acting out in a certain way. And so what you can do is, how's your day been? How you been feeling lately? So asking those probing questions sometimes really helps them think through, well, did I do this today? You've been working out. I see you've been working out, man. Those are things to really help people start their wheels to start turning, to figure out, have I been taking care of me first? So that's more of like a mental wellness. Mental illness is usually, you're gonna see that where people are debilitated in certain areas. They're not able to function in school, family. They're talking different. They're walking different. So you'll know the distinction between mental wellness and mental illness. More than likely, we get more so in our business is those who are dealing with mental wellness concerns that could potentially lead to mental illness. One key thing that I've been talking about is usually around 19 to 22. So I don't know what your population is or anything, but usually around that, you'll see a lot of changes happen in individuals around that age group. Why? Because that's usually statistically the age where a lot of mental illness starts to show up. So being mindful of the age groups that people, when they go through certain things. So I think someone said something about doing more research about the population. You know, on Google, you can get your analytics about anything. So if you know that your analytics is saying like, I serve people, 20 to 25, then guess what? You probably want to study a little bit more on mental health and mental illness, because that's usually when things start to show up. If you have children more so, then you study that population. So the key thing is to really be up on and be knowledgeable about the population, using these stats that we can get through Instagram, through Facebook, to really study the population, but asking just general questions. How's your family? How's your day? And y'all probably already getting that already. People probably tell you a whole lot sitting in the chair.
Well, let me ask you this. Am, what are some, that was really good information, but at the same time, on the flip side of things, what are some good key indicators for us as stylists, barbers, as business professionals to know when to back up? We might have a level of concern, and sometimes we might press too hard. So what are some key indicators for us to say, you know what, let me back up a little bit. Let me give them their space, or what are some good signs for us to look for when that's taking place?
That's a good question. So it's all about integration these days, because, and again, if you look at that continual mental wellness or mental illness, that's like a continuum. So you never really technically know what somebody's going through or what their breaking point could be. They could leave your shop one day and get into it with their spouse, and then they pop off and do something. So we never know. So I say it's an integrated service. It's a wraparound service, meaning it's nothing wrong with having a stack of cards and brochures already set up in your space.
Okay.
So you don't even have to necessarily have a conversation. It's, you know what? In this barbershop, in this beauty shop, in this business, here are some resources. If you ever need them, they are over there. They are in my space. So as you're having these conversations, they already know that there's an availability of these services. And so sometimes it's just making it available to people even beyond that conversation, because we already know that, just take African-American women. 80% of African-American women are dealing with depression right now. That's like 1 in 4 people.
That's huge.
Wow.
1 in 4. And now we haven't even tapped into the trueness of what African-American men are going through because of how taboo mental health is. I had somebody call me the other day. He was like, I just need to unpack. I just need to, I was like, what you need to talk about? What you going through, brother? He said, I just need to do this thing called unpacking. I was like, well, that's not really a thing, but I get what you said. Let's start. And so whatever you can do to set up an atmosphere of people either unpacking or giving them the resources, having a business card, maybe one of those old school boards, maybe on your website, have a little blurb about, if you ever feel this, you can go to this service, having those different things as far as your marketing, adding that to it. Those are creative ways to make sure, because again, remember, 1 in 4 people that come to see you are dealing with mental wellness or mental illness. So that's already unlocked. We already know that when they walk in the door, they're dealing with it. So if we have those things, and so that's a great question, because that helps business owners really set boundaries, because we're, what you're saying is, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, exactly. we can't get into their world, but we can see where people are. And so that's really pointing them in that direction. So
that was good.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah. One of our listeners tapped in and says, don't take the weight home with you though.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good point. Very, very good point.
Boundaries.
We too have to have our boundaries because a lot of times we listen to people all day and we get home and we feel stretched beyond measure and trying to figure that out. So we have to understand and appreciate ourselves. And I think that's going to yourself, is communicating with ourselves to make sure we personally don't take too much in, because that can then flip and cause us to feel some sort of way, and then we begin to act out in certain ways as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that gives you that integrated way of doing services, gives you more options for people versus you taking it on, versus
Absolutely.
you feeling like you're obligated to have those. Because traditionally that is where people unpack and unload, at the barbershop, at the bar, things like that. But if you just like, here, I'm gonna slide you a little card, man. I'm gonna slide you one of these little cards. I hear you can call one of these therapists that's on here, and they gonna help you deal with that other stuff, So we can't be everything to everybody, Even like
That's
I said
right.
with the gentleman, he wants to unpack, but it's specific things that he will have to say to me in order for me to really be able to serve him in the way that he needs to. So yes, you can call, emergency room. You can have some referrals of people that you trust, therapists that you trust, and definitely we'll be there to help and serve the population. So,
oh man, this is awesome. This is a really good show. Now we have a few more questions, and a few other things we want to discuss. But before we go into those things, I want to break. No, this is good. I want to break away because my girl Yodi, she has something coming up, and so we're gonna go into this segment called The Edge, and Yodi, it's your time to shine. Let them see what you got going on.
All right.
Shining. Ooh. Yeah. So guys. Okay, as you guys seen it, that's right. This coming Monday, that's right. This coming Monday, May 16th at 5:30 until we're doing a conversation and cocktail, and it's going to be a social that if you're here, you do not want to miss it. It's going to be amazing. You'll be able to get a little taste of all of the TCM Classic Man Collection products, and you get some conversation. And this conversation I feel is going to spill over into next Monday. Piece because our listeners, I'm sure they tapped in, and I'm excited. But this is going to be an amazing social. So you guys, it's going to be pretty much fun. Great TCM Live event taking place next Monday.
All right. So look, I'm gonna go into this right here. So, of course, we know we're gonna change it up a little bit. We got a few more minutes. So, we talked about individuals, men and women, but we didn't talk about the relationship piece. And so I know there's been a lot going on as far as relationships are concerned, in dealing with friction in the relationship. What's been the number one? No, seriously, what has been the number one issue that you've been faced with in terms of like what are people bringing to you, Amethyst? Go ahead, put it out there.
Oh, that look heavy, Amethyst.
That's too heavy. How you do that? You know what? Oh man. Okay, I'll say communication.
Communication.
That's always it. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, lack of communication or inability to communicate. That leads to other things. There are some larger things that people come to me about, but it always stems back to like not being able to set boundaries for yourself and in the relationship, not being able to emotionally be available. Those are like I call the root and the fruit. There's some root things that people come to me about, and there's some fruit things. So if you can imagine a tree with all these leaves and different things that come up in relationships, but there are some root things, and the root thing is communication, lack of trust, lack of boundaries, infidelity. All of those things are root things, but all of these little things up here is all the fruit that come up. That like I said, that's heavy. Woo, I can't even begin I can't even get into that.
That's a part 1, 2, and 3 segment.
Man, I can go on and on, but I've seen some really major changes with marriages, with couples in those areas. And the key thing I'll say is that communication and being emotionally available to each other has been a lot of the work. 3 things that I say real quick that you have to have in place really to do the work is that both people have to be willing to do the work. The second one is, has there been too much damage in the relationship? Because if you come to me, you come to account, if there's been too much damage, y'all got to work that out first, because you got to be willing.
That's serious.
That's real. It's like,
work it out.
I'm not no referee.
Right.
So that's the second one. And the third one is, I always ask, do you still have a deep love for that person? Can you sit across the couch and next to that person and say, there has not been enough damage that we want to just split, and both of y'all want to do the work? Now, I've gotten a whole lot of different answers, but if you can say yes, at least the two of those, then we can work together. But those three things, that's what's needed to really keep a relationship healthy and growing, and really to be able to work through some things that you may go through. But you don't even have to have problems in a relationship to come to counseling. So we do a lot of games, fun things, personality assessments to really help couples mesh and get to know each other and love on each other too. So it's a twofold thing as far as the relationships. Yeah.
That's really good.
That was deep. That was deep.
That was real deep.
Hey, so before we close out, Am, if you can give us, before we close out, I'm gonna let you kind of close it out for us. But before we close out, if you can give us 1 to 5 key things that we should probably do on a daily basis individually to kind of help keep our morale high, and just to kind of keep our mental good and intact.
Yeah, I think that working out, whatever that means to you, staying flexible, like whatever you can do to really get your body moving, that is helping you mentally. That's helping your mental wellness is coming from you taking care of your body. The second one is really, what are you saying to yourself daily? What are your affirmations? It doesn't necessarily start with a positive saying, but it starts with you being honest with yourself. Be vulnerable with yourself. So the third one is vulnerable. Don't be ashamed of where you are. Begin to look at the options, the opportunities, and priorities that you have in your life, and start building on that one. And the last thing I want to say is, ask yourself every morning, what are the promises that I've made to myself? What are the promises that I've made to myself? Because it really, in the end, doesn't matter what A, B, and C is telling you to do. It's about what you promise to yourself, and if you're going to be trustworthy to you first. So those are the things that I would say that will really help you become a better person and really just function daily in a better space.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah, this is good.
So my co-host, do you have any closing words for this show? That was amazing.
That was amazing. This was powerful. It's like we got to have you tap back in, Amethyst.
Always.
This is good. This is good.
Always.
Very good.
No
staying loyal.
Stay loyal to yourself.
Yeah, staying loyal to yourself. Absolutely.
So Am, I want to thank you for sharing our platform with us today. So let the people know where they can find you at.
Social media, Instagram, amethyst.roberson. My information as far as my website is arobersontherapy.com or amethystrroberson.com for coaching. So you can find me pretty much on social media, as well as Google my name, and you should pull up something about me.
There it is. And if they didn't get it, of course, they can go back and watch the tape, and again, go back to our channels. And thank Renee for plugging that on that screen. But listen, this has been such an honor. I'm excited. I wish we could just continue on and go further.
I know. We'll have to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Am.
No problem. All right.
Till next time, everybody.